I welcome all the members to the 44th Annual General Meeting of the company. I hope you're all safe and in good health. This meeting is being held through video conferencing in accordance with the circulars issued by the Ministry of Corporate Affairs and SEBI. Proceedings of the meeting shall be deemed to have conducted at the registered office of the company in compliance with law. Further, keeping in mind the social distancing norms, the directors have joined the meeting virtually. Before we initiate the AGM proceedings, let me introduce to my fellow directors who have joined us through video conference and who are with me on the dais. Let me start by introducing Mr. Siddharth Mittal, Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer, who is to my right. Mr. Bobby Kanubhai Parikh, Independent Director and Chairperson, Audit Committee and Risk Management Committee. Dr. Vijay Kachru, Independent Director. Mr. M. Damodaran, Independent Director. Professor Ravi Mazumdar, Non-Executive Director and Chairperson, Stakeholders Relationship Committee. Mr. Eric Mazumdar, Non-Executive Director. Mrs. Naina Lal Kidwai, Independent Director and Chairperson, Nomination and Remuneration Committee and CSR and ESG Committee. On my left, to my extreme right is Mr. Indranil Sen, Chief Financial Officer, and to my left is Mr. Mayank Verma, Company Secretary. Ms. Mary Harney and Mr. Daniel Bradbury have completed their tenure with the company as independent directors with effect from the conclusion of the board meeting held yesterday, that is July 27th, 2022. I would like to place on record my deep appreciation and on behalf of the board, our deepest appreciation and gratitude to both the directors for their extensive contribution and stewardship. Apart from our directors, we also have BSR and Company LLP statutory auditors and V. Sridharan and Associate Secretarial Auditors and Scrutinizers for this AGM who have joined us from their respective locations. Participation of members through video conference is being reckoned for the purpose of quorum as per the circular issued by the MCA and Section 103 of the Companies Act 2013. As the requisite quorum is present for the annual general meeting, I call this meeting to order. Notice of the 44th annual general meeting and the annual report for FY 21-22 were sent through email to all the members whose email IDs are registered with the company or the depository participants in compliance with the MCA and SEBI circulars. As the AGM notice is already circulated to the members, I take the same as read. Today, there are 8 resolutions proposed to be passed as set out in the notice of the AGM. The company has taken all necessary steps required as per the provisions of the Companies Act 2013 and the circulars issued by MCA to enable the members to participate and vote on the resolutions as set forth in the notice. Members who have not cast their vote through remote e-voting and who are participating in this meeting will have the opportunity to cast their votes through the InstaPoll facility provided by K-Fink Technologies Limited, registrar and share transfer agents. I now call upon our Company Secretary Mayank Verma to provide general instructions to the members regarding participation in this meeting and on casting of votes through the e-voting facility. Over to you, Mike.
Thanks, Kiran. Good afternoon, everyone. The members may note that this meeting is being held through video conference in compliance with the provisions of Companies Act and circulars issued by Ministry of Corporate Affairs. The facility to join this meeting through video conference is being made available to all the members on the first-come, first-served basis. All the members are kept on mute to enable seamless conduct of the meeting. The statutory registers and documents have been made available electronically for inspection by the members during the AGM. Members who wish to seek inspection of such documents can write their request to the Company Secretary. As the AGM is being held through video conference, the facility for appointment of proxies by the members was not applicable, hence the proxy register is not available for inspection. The company has received requests from few members to register them as a speaker at this meeting. Accordingly, the floor will open for these members to ask questions or express their views. The moderator will facilitate this session once the chairman opens the floor for Q&A. It may be noted that the company reserves the right to restrict the number of members asking the questions depending upon the availability of time at the meeting. Now let me summarize the 8 resolutions placed before today's meeting seeking shareholders' approval as set out in the notice of annual general meeting. The first 3 resolutions pertain to the ordinary business, which are adoption of standalone and consolidated financial statements for the year ended March 31st, 2022, and the reports of the Board of Directors and auditors thereon. Appointment of Ms. Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw, who retires by rotation and seeking reappointment. To declare a final dividend of 50 paisa per share for the financial year ended March 31st, 2022. Resolution 4 to 8 are special business, which are as follows. Appointment of Mr. Eric Vivek Majumdar as a non-executive director on the board of the company. Item 5 pertains to appointment of Ms. Naina Lal Kedwai as an independent director of the company. Resolution 6 pertains to approval for amendment and termination of Biocon stock option plan 2000. Item number 7 is towards approval for amendment in Biocon RSU long-term incentive plan for FY 22-24 of the company. The final resolution is towards ratification of the payment of remuneration to the cost auditors for the financial year 2022-23. The text of the resolution along with the explanatory statement as provided in the notice circulated to the members. In compliance with the MCA circular, the item of special business in the AGM notice are considered unavoidable and hence proposed for approval of the members. In compliance with the provisions of Companies Act and SEBI regulation, the company has arranged the e-voting facility for all the members holding shares in the company as on the cutoff date of July 21st, 2022 through KFin Technologies Limited on all the resolutions proposed at today's meeting. The remote e-voting facility commenced on Saturday, July 23rd and ended yesterday at 5 p.m. Members who have joined us today for this AGM through video conference facility and who have not cast their vote during remote e-voting period can still cast their vote on all the resolutions as forth in the AGM notice through InstaPoll facility of Kavi. Members may click on thumb option below the screen to cast their votes on the resolutions. Mr. V. Sridharan, Company Secretary, has been appointed by the board as a scrutinizer for the e-voting process. Upon submission of report by the scrutinizer, the results of e-voting and the InstaPoll will be intimated to the stock exchange within 2 working days from the conclusion of this AGM and will be made available on the company's website and on the website of KFN Technologies Limited. Statutory auditors Messrs. BSR & Co. LLP and Secretarial Auditor Messrs. B. Sridharan and Associates have expressed unqualified opinion on the respective reports for the financial year. The statutory auditor report on standalone results and consolidated results are made available on page number 183 and 249 of the annual report. Secretarial audit report is available on page number 123 of the annual report. As the reports are already circulated to the members as a part of annual report, we take the report as read. Now I request Kiran to address the member.
Thank you, Mayank. It gives me great pleasure to once again welcome you to the 44th annual general meeting of your company. We start by saying that Biocon's pioneering journey of over 4 decades in biotechnology has an underlying theme of metamorphosis. From enzymes to biopharmaceuticals, from research services to integrated drug development, and from active pharmaceutical ingredients to finished formulations, evolution has sustained and is now accelerating to an inflection point of transformational advancement. Biocon 5.0, which is the theme of this year's annual general report, denotes our 5th decade, poised for breakthrough growth derived from 2 decades of investing in advanced scientific research and global scale manufacturing and biomanufacturing. Each of our businesses is uniquely differentiated and has attained a leadership profile that prepares us for an exciting future. In our Biocon 5.0 avatar, we endeavor to focus on conscious capitalism, environmental stewardship, diversity, equity, and inclusion, governance, and patient centricity. We are building a technology led, ESG conscious company that will create exponential and enduring value for all our stakeholders while impacting humanity in profound ways. In FY22, Biocon made strategic moves to further its purpose of catalyzing transformative change to address health inequities across the world. Our mission to build global health equity through affordable access to essential and life-saving therapeutics has brought in a patient-centric focus in all that we measure. From a fledgling biotech company in 1978, we are today among the largest in Asia with nearly 15,000 employees and consolidated revenues of over $1 billion. Biocon is exclusively positioned with 3 distinctive and diverse businesses that balance the headwinds of one business with tailwinds in others. Pricing pressure on generics, for example, is mitigated with preferential pricing both from contract manufacturing and market exclusivity. Our relentless strategic intent to stand out and stand apart through research and innovation has steered us into new growth paths that include a mega acquisition and multiple new investments that will generate both inorganic and organic growth momentum in the decade ahead. Let me dwell upon the transformative acquisition that really sculpts our landmark decision to acquire the global biosimilars business of our long-term partner Viatris for USD $3.335 billion in cash and stock. This is a transformational inflection point that steers us into accelerated inorganic business expansion. This game-changing transaction will create a world leader in a space that is extremely attractive for investors. Biologic brands over $70 billion will lose exclusivity over the next 5 years, presenting multiple new opportunities for the biosimilars sector. This acquisition by Biocon Biologics will enable the company to seamlessly move from the current collaboration model to full ownership of Viatris's rights in partnered and in-licensed biosimilar assets, allowing recognition of 100% of both revenues and profits. Furthermore, it will enable full vertical integration across the biosimilars value chain from lab to market and take us closer to patients, payers, and healthcare providers in both developed and emerging markets. Most of all, it positions us as a global leader in biosimilars. Foraying into vaccines and infectious diseases is another path-breaking move that we have made. And Biocon's quest to impact global healthcare has steered us towards a strategic expansion into adjacencies such as vaccines. In FY22, Biocon Biologics entered into an alliance with Serum Institute Life Sciences, which we believe positions us as a biopharma company that straddles both infectious and non-communicable diseases. Our investments in our generics business have translated into new DMFs and ANDA filings, as well as approvals globally, led us to our first day one launch in the US for generic everolimus 10 mg tablets. Also have made steady progress in establishing a strong global footprint for our generics business during the year. Continue to build a strong pipeline of niche formulations such as injectables, as well as peptides and potent APIs. A key element of our investment is a large greenfield fermentation-based manufacturing plant, largely for immunosuppressants, in the Visakhapatnam SEZ that will be operational in FY23. I believe our API business stands to benefit from the China Plus One strategy at a time when pharma MNCs are trying to diversify their supply chains to include sourcing from India in order to mitigate their dependence on China. Now coming to biosimilars, prudent investments over the years in advanced R&D and global manufacturing scale have led Biocon Biologics to build a unique biosimilars portfolio comprising basal and rapid-acting insulins as well as antibodies for cancer and inflammatory diseases. The performance of our portfolio of commercialized biosimilars in both developed and emerging markets yielded a 24% growth in our biosimilars business revenues this year. The highlight of the year was the historic approval of the world's first, I repeat, the world's first interchangeable biosimilar insulin glargine in the US. As we commemorate 100 years of the discovery of insulin, we are positioning ourselves to build global leadership through unlocking equitable access to insulin and insulin analogs and meeting varied patient needs through our comprehensive portfolio. Let me dwell upon briefly on the pandemic. At the height of the pandemic, we were able to realize the potential of biotherapeutics in the fight against COVID-19, used cytokine storm. I'm very pleased and proud of our repurposed novel biologic Alzumab or L or Itolizumab, which has benefited over 40,000 COVID-19 patients so far. I would now like to turn towards our research services business or Syngene. Our research services business Syngene delivered a revenue growth of 19%, is well poised to capture opportunities arising from the growing global demand for CRO and CDMO services through its offering of integrated research, development and manufacturing services. Syngene is leveraging its exciting relationships to provide forward integration on the discovery and development continuum by catering to its clients' requirements for early stage, late stage, and commercial launch supplies. Syngene extended its long-standing research collaboration with Amgen this year. These contract extensions confirm the stability of the relationship with both key clients and provide a very clear perspective on the future of Syngene's dedicated centers. An important recent announcement was that of a 10-year, $500 million biomanufacturing contract with Zoetis, which marks a pivotal phase of breakthrough growth for research services as it extends its services to large and long-term business contracts. Let me now talk about ESG. At the Biocon Group, our key priorities of patient centricity and access to all drive our strategy and the way we operate. Our philosophy of ensuring health equity resonates with our environmental, social, and governance aspirations, that is ESG. We have assumed a greater prominence in our business objectives. By serving patients, protecting the environment, and promoting business integrity, we are reinforcing our commitment to building a sustainable future. Our recent entry, the prestigious Dow Jones Sustainability Index, Emerging Markets Index, where we achieved a 93rd percentile position with a total sustainability score of 45, is a testimony to our responsible and sustainable business practices. As a woman entrepreneur, I have inculcated a strong sense of purpose and commitment to diversity, inclusion, and social equity at Biocon. Some of you might have seen the video on some of our women leaders in our company. Women currently constitute 21% of our workforce and our aspiration is to get to a 50-50 gender ratio by 2030. To achieve this target, we are refining our policies and increasing career opportunities for women. We were certified by Great Places to Work India as a workplace with inclusive practices, acknowledging our investment in our people and our inclusive culture. As a group, we believe strongly in building an ecological balance. This belief is driving us in continuously identifying opportunities to increase the share of renewables in our energy mix, improving energy inefficiency, innovating to drive productivity across our value chain, implementing the principles of a circular economy, and adopting digital solutions that minimize inefficiencies. On-site solar installations and sourcing of power from renewable sources have increased the share of green power to 54% of our total energy consumption for FY22 across the Biocon group. We reduced our total carbon footprint by over 1.86 lakh carbon dioxide during the year. Through our water conservation initiatives across the global manufacturing operations of Biocon and Biocon Biologics, we achieved over 6.8 lakh liters of incremental water savings per day. Biocon's corporate philanthropy, or CSR, aims to build resilient solutions that enable and empower disadvantaged communities to live better. In FY22, we implemented several initiatives targeted at increasing access to healthcare for underserved communities, improving the nutritional standing of school-aged children, promoting science and technology, and sponsoring urban afforestation initiatives. The Biocon Foundation supported the government of Karnataka in the implementation of its test, treat, track, and vaccinate strategy at 20 primary health centers across 7 districts. We helped strengthen hospital infrastructure by installing a 2,000-liter liquid medical oxygen storage tank at the Anekal General Hospital near Biocon Park in Karnataka. As a part of our healthcare initiatives, we contributed to the capacity building of frontline health workers and screened over 4,000 people using the mHealth oral cancer screening tool. The foundation is also funding construction of the proposed Biocon Hebbagodi metro station. Metro connectivity will reduce traffic congestion in Bengaluru and help lower the environmental impact from vehicle pollution. As a part of our commitment to strengthen the medical science ecosystem in the country, the Foundation signed a Memorandum of Understanding with the Indian Institute of Science to contribute funds for the construction of a not-for-profit 490-bed multi-specialty hospital and medical school in Bengaluru. This hospital will offer an integrated dual-degree MD-PhD program in clinical research. In recognition of the funding support, the general medicine block will bear the name of Biocon Syngene. Our flagship initiative, Biocon Academy, which aims to build the talent ecosystem biotech-related skills, saw over 180 young life science students graduate this year. In terms of digitization, the digital transformation journey we embarked on in 2020 was further accelerated as we maneuvered through the COVID-19 pandemic. Significant investments we are making in organization-wide digital transformation initiatives are going to transform the group into a data and digital-led global biopharmaceuticals organization, spearheading Biocon 5.0 digitalization. I firmly believe that we can build higher standards of governance and deliver greater levels of trust to all our stakeholders. Now let me come to our financial performance in FY22. Biocon's consolidated revenue for FY22 grew 14% to 83,967 million, which marked the $1 billion milestone. Led by biosimilars, and research service revenues increasing 94% and 19% respectively. For the year, the biosimilars business posted revenues of 34,643 million. Generics reported 23,409 million, and research services turned in 26,042 million. Our EBITDA increased 14% to 21,829 million for the year, representing a healthy margin of 26%. Adjusting for licensing, forex, mark-to-market loss on investments and R&D expense, core EBITDA, which is really the way you have to measure the health and performance of the group, grew 18% to 26,690 million, representing a healthy margin of 32%. Our net profit for the year was 6,484 million. Net profit was impacted on account of certain exceptional items and mark-to-market losses on investments. Adjusted for these, net profit grew by 23% for the full year. I now turn to management and board updates. We have appointed Naina Lal Kidwai, an accomplished banker and business leader, as an additional director on the board of Biocon Limited with effect from April 28, 2022 for a period of 3 years. We also appointed Professor Eric Mazumdar as a non-executive director to the board with effect from November 1st, 2021. Professor Eric Mazumdar is one of the key thought leaders in artificial intelligence and is now a professor at the Caltech Institute in California. I would like to express my deep appreciation and gratitude to my husband, John Shaw, for his stewardship and judicious guidance as a key member of the board and the management team since 1999. He has contributed significantly to the transformation of Biocon from a small enzymes company to a globally recognized biopharmaceuticals enterprise. He has played a critical role in building Biocon, ensuring the highest levels of corporate governance, as well as contributing to the financial and strategic development of the group in his role as vice chairman for over 2 decades. On behalf of myself, Biocon's board of directors and the management, I would also like to express our appreciation and gratitude to Mary Harney and Daniel Bradbury, who have stepped down from the board as independent directors of Biocon Limited effective July 27, after having completed their second term of tenure with the company. Both Mary and Dan have provided invaluable guidance and stewardship to Biocon, which has contributed immensely to the organization's growth. I would now like to dwell upon Dividend. The company and its board of directors acknowledged with deep appreciation the support received from the shareholders during the pandemic over the last 2 years. As we come out of the pandemic with a strong financial performance, the board of directors have recommended a dividend of 10% of the face value of each share for FY22. The year ahead holds tremendous promise for all our business segments. We expect strong growth from our biosimilars business on the back of the strategic transactions with Serum Institute and Viatris, which are progressing towards various regulatory approvals. We expect these deals to close by the second half of calendar year 2022. I would like to appreciate the contribution of our employees, executives, and boards who have worked tirelessly and passionately throughout the pandemic to realize our core purpose of serving patients and partners. Finally, I would like to thank all of you, our shareholders, for trusting us as a uniquely differentiated company over the years. With your unstinted support, we will continue to make progress towards ushering in transformative change that will make our world a healthier place. Thank you and namaskar.
Thanks, Kiran. Dear members, before we proceed with the Q&A session, we would like to request you kindly take few notes take note of few points. Moderator will announce the name of each member who has registered themselves as a speaker shareholder. Kindly unmute yourself before you proceed to ask your question. Each member will have 2 minutes for his or her question. Hence, request to keep your question brief and specific. Now, I request moderator to facilitate the Q&A session. Moderator.
Thank you, Chairperson. There is a moderator here. I will bring the pre-registered speakers who are currently available one by one. The first registered speaker is Mr. K. Sadananda Sastri from Bangalore. At this moment, he is not available. We will move to the second registered speaker, Mr. Hiranand Kotwani from Kalyan. I request Mr. Hiranand Kotwani to unmute your audio and switch on your camera and proceed. Thank you.
Yeah. Namaskara. I am audible?
Yes.
Sir, you are audible. Please proceed.
Yeah. Namaste. It is a great pleasure to join you, madam. I congratulate all the people who are listening this AGM, attending the AGM. Madam, your speech address was very good. It covered all the aspects of our organization. Certainly, I want to know from you that our geographies, how you are going, you said integrated drug development. How you are going to integrate this drug development and increase the growth and the prosperity? I am here concerned about the prosperity because your dividend is so less. Today, the 50 paisa is no more in India. Even if you give 50.50 dollar, then we can see that okay. But certainly, I am want to know the various geographies, our market and our distribution, our investment in foreigns. Our 83% of investment in market shares in outside the India international. How the Indian market you see? Is there any plan to improve the Indian market also because India is growing and some inflationary pressure is there. Even this COVID is a blessing in disguise for the pharma people. Even the inflation is also help us to improve the rate and the realization. What is your call on this? How you are going to increase the generic market? In India, there is a huge demand. How you are going to the prosperity, particularly various segment. Now you will just give me that biosimilar insulin, some nutshell, how you are improve this biosimilar insulin, huge market globally. We can on top of the world. What is your vision and mission in this regard? And lastly, this women employee 21%. How many sexual harassment cases reported? Your balance sheet says 7. And every balance sheet say it is we dealt with as. But certainly no, specifically the law of land at various geography these are reported because you are a global footprint is there. How you are dealing is a legal matter also there, or you are just settling with a payment and restitution. Please throw some light how you are going to improve this. And our work culture is good, all is well. Thank you and good luck ahead.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hiranand Kotwani. I'll try and answer all your questions. First and foremost, when we talk about integrated drug development, we are referring to our research services business, which initially used to be a fee-for-service business for parts of research. Today, we are able to provide end-to-end research services to our customers, and that is what is helping us to really grow our business exponentially. And as you know, the recent $500 million deal that Syngene has struck with Zoetis is a continuation and a reflection of this integrated drug discovery and development model that is now being followed, which means that we as a company have the capabilities and the competence to actually provide full end-to-end services to our customers, which is a very big recognition of the value that we add to our customers. Now coming to dividend, I agree that the dividend could have been higher and we will aim to give you higher dividends in the future. But as you know, we have actually made huge investments in building large global capacities. We have increased our R&D spends, and we need to do all of this to really pursue future growth. But rest assured that as the business prospers, we as a company are committed to provide you with greater dividend payout. As far as the India market is concerned, certainly India is an important market, and we have a very strong focus on the India market through our branded formulations India business, and that itself has a very strong growth trajectory that it has set itself over the next coming years, and we are very confident that we will be able to provide very important drugs at affordable prices for Indian patients. Having said that, I would now like to talk about biosimilar insulins, which you very correctly said is a big opportunity for the company. And in this centenary of insulin discovery, we are very uniquely placed to be amongst the leading companies with a very comprehensive portfolio of insulins for global markets. We already have a 10% market share in the US with our insulin glargine, which I mentioned is the world's first interchangeable insulin glargine, which we also market in India under the brand name of Basalog. As far as insulin is concerned, in Malaysia, we have over 70% market share of insulins. In fact, it is approaching 80%. And in many, many markets around the world, we have over 50% market share. India is a country where we definitely want to increase market share, and we are working towards that end. So overall, you're absolutely right. Insulin is going to be a huge opportunity for the group, for the company, and we are very committed to making that happen. In terms of your question on women, as a woman leader, I am myself very committed to gender equity and making sure that women have a bigger representation both at the workforce level, but more importantly, we are also focusing to make more women leaders at a leadership level. In terms of sexual harassment cases, I can assure you that we are following best practices and global best practices at that to deal with all these sexual harassment cases in the best and most equitable in the most equitable way. So I would say that you should feel rest assured that as a woman, I'm very much on top of all these issues because I want women to succeed, I want women to feel safe, and I want women to feel empowered. Thank you.
Can we have a next
Thank you.
speaker?
Thank you. We'll move to the next registered speaker. The third registered speaker is Mr. Kaushik Narendra Shaukar from Mumbai. I would request Mr. Kaushik Narendra to unmute your audio and switch on your camera and proceed. Thank you.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Please proceed.
Yeah, I'm audible.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Please proceed.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. First off, I would like to thank the board of directors for giving me an opportunity again to speak in this forum. Many of you would remember me from the conversation in past, so I will keep both my ask and introduction up brief. I hope I'm clearly audible.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. Myself, Kaushik Shaukar, a qualified and a practicing chartered accountant from Mumbai. I have been suffering from dystonia, which has rendered 55% of my body paralyzed, impacting my right hand, my right leg, and speech. While I have not let that come in my way of becoming a chartered accountant and practicing, I do request your support in helping me continue to be self-reliant. I hope I'm clearly audible till now.
Yes, you are.
Thank you. I was optimistic after our conversation we had last year about me working for our organization on certification work, including Form 15CB. However, nothing has progressed since. While I understand things may have not progressed due to the pandemic situation last year, I do hope that after our conversation today, our organization will start engaging me in this area as soon as possible. Once again, thank you for the opportunity to speak today, and I hope to see a positive movement forward with my ask. I support all the resolution also request you to please provide a reply.
Yeah, thank you
What
very
is
much, Mr. Kaushik.
last question? What is the impact of Canada plus one policy on our company? Finally, madam, how is your health now? I assume you will be fit and fine, and I can say that after you beating the COVID, you will be ready again to improve shareholders' wealth. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kaushik, for your very, important comments. First and foremost, I do understand your predicament, and I certainly will make sure that we again evaluate your request. As you rightly said, the pandemic has come in the way, and we will certainly reevaluate your request. As far as your other comments are concerned, I thank you for all your comments, and I hope that we can resume pre-pandemic level business in the near normal circumstances. As far as my own health is concerned, as you can see, I have recovered from COVID very well, and I'm back to work and committed to driving very strong and robust growth for the company. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. We'll move to the next registered speaker. The fourth registered speaker is K. Elija Devi from Hyderabad. I would request the speaker K. Elija Devi to unmute your audio and switch on your camera and proceed with the query. Thank you. I would request K. Elija Devi speaker to unmute your audio and switch on your camera and proceed. Yes, please proceed.
Hello. Good afternoon, sir. I'm Bharatra, joint elder of Elija Devi. Elija Devi mother.
We are not getting your audio properly. I think we are losing your audio.
Good afternoon, entire board of directors. Madam, I'm proud to be associated with company. Wonderful under your leadership, my company grew. Compared with the last pandemic, my results are full. But in this space, you take care of our employees, salary.
Sorry, we are losing your audio continuously. So I would request you to please rejoin. We are moving to the next speaker.
Get your audio to work because we are not able to hear you. You're breaking up.
Can we have
With your permission, ma'am, I'll move to the next speaker.
Yeah, ask him to try and come back after the, after
Sure,
you ask
sure.
the questions. Yeah.
Sure, ma'am. We'll move to the fifth registered speaker. The fifth registered speaker is Mr. Ramesh Shankar Gulla from Hyderabad, is not joined at this moment. We'll move to the sixth registered speaker, Mr. Dinesh Amrutlal Kotecha. Mr. Dinesh is also not joined at this moment. We'll move to the seventh registered speaker, Mr. Aspi Bamansha from Mumbai. I would request Mr. Aspi to unmute your audio and switch on your camera and proceed with the query. Thank you. Mr. Aspi, you are on mute. I would request you to unmute your audio and switch on your camera and proceed.
Chairman, sir, can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm Aspi from Bombay. Now I'm starting my video.
Yeah, please.
Can you see me now? Yeah.
I can see you. Thank you.
Okay. Sir, congrats on excellent results for the full year. However, first quarter, the results were bad compared to the Q4 last year. What is the reason for that? Even the inventory and receivables have gone up quite a lot. So what about the IPO of our subsidiary? There is news coming that subsidiary is coming with an IPO. I would prefer you don't come with an IPO. You give rights shares to the shareholders of Biocon and get the company listed, and thereafter you can go for a QIP or something. You'll get a much better valuation rather than like this. Because if you go for IPO, 10% of the amount will go as expenses. And if you approach the merchant bankers, they'll say, yes, IPO is absolutely necessary. But don't go for IPO. Reliance and all have done that way by giving shares free to the shareholders of Biocon. I'm free to the shareholders of Reliance. So you just follow the Reliance model and give shares free to the shareholders of Biocon, and thereafter you can go for QIP if you get good valuation. So thank you very much and all the best for the future.
Thank you, Mr. Aspie. Thank you for all your suggestions. I'd just like to comment on the performance of Q1. I think we've had a very strong performance this quarter. I think you should look at the 23% year-on-year growth, the 29% year-on-year growth for biosimilars, the very strong performance of 19% of the generics business, and of course the 8% growth of our research services business, which if you exclude COVID-related products was 30%. So I think overall our businesses are doing extremely well. If you look at the comments that you made on slightly disappointing results in Q1 compared to Q4, let me remind you that the reason why you have seen a slight decline in Q4 is on three accounts. One is much higher R&D spends in Q4 compared to Q1 compared to Q4, which of course actually is reflective of a pipeline progression which is so important for sustainable future growth. And therefore, I always request people to look at core EBITDA rather than EBITDA. If you look at the other aspects of Q4 compared to Q1, we remember in Q1 we have taken on additional personnel costs or people costs on account of annual increments and new hires, which was not reflected in Q4. And thirdly, we have also taken some forex loss on account of an OCD restatement of one of our PE investors, which has actually added 43 crores of a forex loss this in Q1. So if you eliminate all these, I think the underlying growth is very robust, very strong, and we are very, very confident that this fiscal you are going to see very good growth. And this growth is going to start showing very strongly in the second half of this fiscal. So I hope I've allayed your concerns. And as far as the IPO is concerned, as you know, we are making a mega acquisition this fiscal. And based on that, we will decide on the timing of the IPO and the nature of the IPO. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. We'll move to the next speaker. The next registered speaker is Mr. Atanu Saha from Kolkata. I would request the speaker, Mr. Atanu Saha, to unmute your audio and switch on your camera and proceed. Thank you. Since there is no response from the speaker, we'll move to the next speaker. The next speaker is Mr. Santosh Kumar Saraf from Kolkata. I would request speaker Santosh Kumar Saraf to unmute your audio and switch on your camera and proceed.
हाँ जी नमस्कार, एक मिनट का समय दीजिएगा मेरे को जरा।
नमस्कार, we can hear you.
एक मिनट सर शेयर कर रहा हूँ मैं अपना वीडियो। हाँ
जी,
माननीय अध्यक्षा जी, उपस्थित निदेशक मंडल के सदस्यगण और मेरे शेयरहोल्डर भाइयों बहनों, जो आज हम वीडियो कॉन्फ्रेंस के थ्रू प्रेजेंट हैं, मैं संतोष कुमार सराफ कलकत्ता से आप सभी को नमस्कार करता हूँ। आशा करता हूँ आप जितने भी अधिकारीगण हैं और जितने भी हमारे आज वीडियो में प्रेजेंट है वह स्वस्थ अच्छे स्वास्थ्य होंगे। मैडम, आपने अपने प्रेजेंटेशन में काफी कुछ क्लियर किया है, काफी कुछ समझाया और अभी 3 उत्तर 4 जो शेयर होल्डर के स्पीकर के उत्तर दिए उससे भी काफी कुछ हमें नॉलेज मिली है सर। तो मैडम ये कि एक्सपेंशन के बारे में कहा कि आप एक्विजिशन करने जा रही, कोई बड़ा एक्विजिशन करने जा रही है, तो वो एक्विजिशन जो अपने को कितना फायदा होने जा रहा है आपको, ये भी अगर आपको अभी एस्टिमेट किया हो तो जरूर बताइएगा। एक मैडम ये भी बताइएगा कि अपने इस साल कोई नई दवाई या नई कोई रकम का रिसर्च करके कोई प्रोडक्ट बाजार में लॉन्च किया हो जिसके बाजार में अच्छी डिमांड होने की आशा है, या कोई ऐसा प्रोडक्ट है जो बाजार में किसी कंपनी ने नहीं बनाया हो तो बताने का करिएगा सर। और मैडम ये है कि मैं ज़्यादा परफॉर्मेंस के बारे में नहीं जाऊँगा कि आपने बहुत अच्छा बताया। मेरा कंसर्न दूसरा फीमेल एम्प्लॉय के लिए है। जैसे अभी मैंने देखिए आपके फीमेल एम्प्लॉय और मेल एम्प्लॉय का जो रेशियो है इसमें काफ़ी गैप है। जहाँ तक 5 मेल के ऊपर में 1 फीमेल एम्प्लॉई है। तो मैं चाहूंगा इस रेशियो गैप को कमती किया जाए। और आजकल तो गवर्नमेंट ने भी अलाउ किया है कि फीमेल किसी भी वर्क में किसी भी जगह काम कर सकती है, दिन रात फैक्ट्री में भी काम कर सकती है। और आप तो फीमेल चेयरमैन है मैडम, तो आपके छत्र छाया में अगर फीमेल को एम्पावरमेंट नहीं होगा तो कब होगा? तो मैं चाहूंगा, देखिए अभी हमारे मोदी जी ने भी एम्पावरमेंट किया है, एक आदिवासी को प्रेसिडेंट बना के एम्पावरमेंट किया है। हमारे फाइनेंस मिनिस्ट्री भी उन्होंने बना के एम्पावरमेंट किया है। तो पहले ना तो फाइनेंस मिनिस्टर हमने वुमेन को देखा था ना, प्रेसिडेंट में एक बार प्रतिभा पाटिल के अलावा किसी को देखा था सर। तो मैं चाहूंगा कि आप इस तरह के कदम उठाए कि मैं समझता हूँ कि अभी ये समय जो वुमेन को ज्यादा एम्पावरमेंट
I would
करने का
request
समय
Mr.
है।
Santosh to wrap up your question. Thank you.
सर
नहीं,
दो
please let
दो
him talk.
दो
Let him talk.
2 मिनट
Please.
टाइम दे दीजिए, क्योंकि वीडियो कॉन्फ्रेंस मीटिंग है, फिर अगले साल पता नहीं
नहीं
क्या
नहीं,
होगा
आप
कि नहीं।
बात कीजिए। आपको आप जो कहना चाहते हैं आप प्लीज कीजिए, कहिए।
तो बात है मैडम, अभी क्या है कि देखिए वुमेन को एम्पावरमेंट का ईयर है, और देखिए वुमेन कितना अच्छा का परफॉर्म, ओलंपिक में गोल्ड मेडल भी ला रही है। आपके बेंगलोर साइड से हमारी सीधू जी भी बैडमिंटन में अपने देश का नाम ऊंचा कर रही है। तो चाहूंगा कि मैं करिए। और अभी तो देखिएगा जो एग्जामिनेशन रिजल्ट आते हैं उसमें टॉपर वुमेन ही हो रही है सर। तो मैं ये चाहूंगा कि आप इसके ऊपर ध्यान दीजिएगा जरूर से। और आपने जो फैक्ट्रियां हैं वहां पर रेन वाटर हार्वेस्टिंग के लिए आपने क्या कदम उठाए हैं, और रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी सोर्स के लिए क्या कदम उठाए, ये भी बताने का कष्ट करिएगा मैडम। और मैडम मैडम ये सिंगल यूज जो प्लास्टिक है, क्योंकि अपने दवाई कंपनी में अपने जो बोतलें होती है वो काफी सिंगल यूज ही होती है मोटा मोटी, उनकी आगे रिसाइकलिंग तो होती है लेकिन ज्यादातर नाले के अंदर ही जाती है, क्योंकि कोई बिक्री तो करता है जो रिसाइकलिंग। तो इसके बदले में कोई दूसरी अल्टरनेट व्यवस्था या बाय कोई केमिकल की कोई व्यवस्था आपने की हो तो बताने कष्ट करिएगा। और मैं ज्यादा समय नहीं लूंगा मैडम, आपका इतना सब परफॉर्मेंस है, और आपका इन्फोसिस में हमारी मुलाकात होती है कई बार। में अभी तो फिजिकल मीटिंग नहीं हो रही है, लेकिन इन्फोसिस में मेरी आपकी मुलाकात कई बार हुई है। तो आपके मैनेजमेंट इतना अच्छा, और इसके साथ मैं एक चीज में बोलना भूल गया कि आपके हस्बैंड को भी मैं बहुत आभार प्रकट करता हूँ कि उनकी छत्र छाया व उनके एडवाइस से आज हमारी कंपनी इतने आगे बढ़ रही है। उनका भी एक योगदान बहुत तगड़ा है इस कंपनी के प्रोग्रेस करने। तो मैं उनका भी आभार प्रकट करता हूँ, भगवान से प्रार्थना करता हूँ कि आप और आपके हस्बैंड और जितने भी डायरेक्टर है इसी तरह हमारी कंपनी में उनका मतलब योगदान होगा, कंपनी आगे बढ़ेगी। लास्ट में एक रिक्वेस्ट है मैडम कि आपको अगले साल बीसी मीटिंग होगी कि नहीं मेरे को भी नहीं मालूम, आपको भी मालूम नहीं है। तो मैं आपसे रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा हाथ जोड़ के कि जैसे इन्फोसिस वाले फिजिकल प्लस हाइब्रिड मीटिंग करते थे, आप उसी तरह अगर फिजिकल प्लस हाइब्रिड मीटिंग करेंगे तो आपके बाहर में जितने भी शेयर होल्डर, जैसे बॉम्बे से भी आपका आसमी ने जो किया, मैं कलकत्ता से जो कर रहा हूँ, और भी कई शेयर होल्डर हैं जो बाहर से अलग अलग सिटी से आपसे बात कर सके। तो ये मौका उनको दीजिएगा। फिर एक बार आपके और आपके पूरे परिवार के और जितने भी डायरेक्टर उनके परिवार की तो वहां से प्रार्थना करता हूँ 2022-23 सभी के लिए अच्छा बीते और वेल्दी हेल्दी प्रोस्पेर सेफ्टी के साथ बीती। तो समय देने के लिए मैडम आपको बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। आशा करता हूँ अगले साल अगर वीडियो कॉन्फ्रेंस मीटिंग होती है तो जरूर आपसे मुलाकात होगी। जय हिंद, जय भारत, नमस्कार मैडम।
नमस्कार संतोष जी। और मैं आपके सवाल के मैं जवाब कोशिश करना मैं करूंगी। पहले तो आपने पूछा है मुझे कि ये एक्विजिशन में क्या होने वाला है। तो ये एक्विजिशन करने से हमें बहुत ही फायदा है, क्योंकि अब जो हमारी पार्टनरशिप है उसमें सिर्फ छोटी रकम हम रिकॉग्नाइज कर सकते हैं। ये एक्विजिशन के बाद हम पूरी रकम वो टॉप लाइन एंड बॉटम लाइन हम रिकॉग्नाइज कर सकेंगे। तो हम इमीडिएटली $1 बिलियन रेवेन्यू रिकॉग्निशन कर सकते हैं इस एक्विजिशन के बाद, और पूरी प्रॉफिट हम अभी रिकॉग्नाइज कर सकेंगे। उसके अलावा ये एक्विजिशन करने से हमें बिल्कुल ग्लोबल कंपनी की पहचान हो जाएगी, क्योंकि हम पूरे कंपनीज में फ्रंट फेसिंग हो जाएंगे और बायोकॉन ब्रांड की दवाई पूरे दुनिया में हम अभी मार्केट कर सकेंगे। तो ये है फायदा ये एक्विजिशन की। और ये जो बिजनेस है वो बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट बिजनेस है, क्योंकि अगले 5 साल में डिमांड फॉर बायोसिमिलर्स बहुत ही बढ़ने वाली है। और उसीलिए हमें बहुत ही अपॉर्चुनिटीज है हमारे लिए और भारत के लिए भी। अभी आपने पूछा कि कौन सी नई दवाई आप लॉन्च करने वाले हैं, तो इसके बारे में मैं ये बताना चाहती हूँ कि यूएस में हमें दो दवाइयों की अपॉर्चुनिटी है। उसकी इंस्पेक्शन के बाद हमें आशा है कि अप्रूवल मिल जाएगी और वो दो दवाइयाँ यूएस में इंट्रोड्यूस हम कर सकेंगे। और उसके अलावा दो और नई दवाइयाँ क्लिनिकल ट्रायल्स में एंटर हुई है और उसके वो क्लिनिकल ट्रायल्स करने के बाद वो भी मार्केट में आ सकेंगी। तो हमारी जो हम पाइपलाइन हम जो कहते हैं वो बहुत ही मजबूत है। आपने बहुत सही बात कही है कि विमेन्स पार्टिसिपेशन इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट बोथ इन द कंट्री एंड एट द कंपनी लेवल। तो आपको मैं ये बताना चाहती हूँ कि अभी जरूर ये बात है कि जेंडर पैरिटी इज नॉट 50-50, सिर्फ 21% है हमारी कंपनी में, लेकिन इंडस्ट्री एवरेज जो है वो सिर्फ 17% है। तो उसके कंपैरिजन में 21% या 21% काफी अच्छी है, लेकिन हम बहुत ही मेहनत कर रहे हैं कि 2030 तक 50-50 जेंडर इक्विटी होनी चाहिए। दूसरी बात ये है कि हम लीडरशिप डेवलपमेंट में बहुत ही फोकस कर रहे हैं विमेन एम्प्लॉइज के बारे में, और ये बड़ी गर्व की बात है कि हमारी नई प्रेसिडेंट एक आदिवासी बहुत ही इम्पोर्टेंट विमेन लीडर को चुना गया है, और मैं भी एक एज अ वुमन आई एम वेरी प्राउड ऑफ दैट। और दूसरी कि हमारी फाइनेंस मिनिस्टर और काफी मिनिस्टर्स विमेन लीडर्स हैं, और उसी के बावजूद हम हमारे कंपनी में भी बहुत ही विमेन लीडरशिप के ऊपर हम फोकस कर रहे हैं। और एक बात ये भी है कि एनवायरमेंटल एस्पेक्ट्स पे हम बहुत ही ध्यान दे रहे हैं, जैसे कि रेन वाटर हार्वेस्टिंग, लेक रिजुविनेशन, और आपने जो कहा है सिंगल यूज प्लास्टिक में भी हम बहुत ही ध्यान दे रहे हैं। तो थैंक यू फॉर ऑल योर कमेंट्स एंड योर गुड विशेस। मैं मेरे हस्बैंड को जरूर मैं आपके शुभेच्छा मैं शेयर करूंगी, और उसके अलावा नमस्कार और बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
Thank you, ma'am. We'll move to the next registered speaker. The next registered speaker is Harjit Kaur from New Delhi. I would request the speaker Harjit Kaur to unmute your audio and switch on your camera and proceed with the query. Thank you. Since there is no response from Harjit Kaur, we'll move to the next speaker. The next speaker is Lekha Satish Shah. He is not available at this moment. We'll move to the next registered speaker. The next registered speaker is Devender Kaur. He is also not available at this moment. We will move to the next speaker. The next speaker is Mr. Abhishek J from Chennai. He is also not available at this moment. We will move to the next speaker. Mr. Hariram Chaudhary is also not available at this moment. We will move to the next registered speaker, Mr. Arun Kumar Bopanna. I would request Mr. Arun Kumar Bopanna to unmute your audio and switch on your camera and proceed. Thank you. Mr. Arun Kumar, please proceed.
Yeah. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Can you hear?
Yes.
Good afternoon. Compliments to you, madam, for because you broke the myth that greatest drug discoveries happened abroad, not in India. I'm proud of your work, what you've done in India. Founders have to be remembered. My questions, madam, raw materials, what are the challenges faced at the start of 2021 and 22? Are we still dependent on China? What are your backup plans for optimal raw material inventory? And how did the employees transit from working from home? Did productivity decline or improve? Because a lot of people went into depression, low self-esteem, etc. after working for 2 years in isolation. Did you do any counseling? what are the disruptions by new players and new business models for holistic health care solutions? An initiative of zero liquid discharge and zero waste, I think you mentioned, for reducing the carbon print, so I'm not going to ask that. And what are your goals in renewable energy to reduce the other emissions? Environment, health and safety measures. How much has spending on HSE increased over the years? What has been the impact on the PLN and balance sheet due to Russia and Ukraine war? And what will be the expected size of the industry in the coming 5 to 7 years? How is the company prepared to address the opportunity? HR policy, what is your new initiative to create next-gen leaders at all levels with a balanced life? Because now life has become unbalanced. And what will be the gender diversity in the coming decade? And what are the revenues from products launched in the last 2 years? What differentiates our products from our competitors? What are initiatives to strengthen our product excellence by volume, by price, availability, and opportunity? Lastly, health is critical to enriching the world. Sustainable health solutions for people taking care of the planet. The purpose should take precedence over profitability. Medicines are for people, not for profits. Drug discovery is noble, perhaps even spiritual. Good health can't wait, madam. Good luck to Biocon. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bopanna, for all your questions, and let me try and answer them one by one. The first question you asked was on raw material challenges and the China dependency factor. Well, we had actually been working on this, China dependency issue for many, many years, and I think we have been developing alternate sources. We do not want single source dependency on China, and I would say for many of our critical raw materials, we now have other options other than China. So we are looking at multi-sourcing strategies that will, distribute the risk and not make it such a challenge for us in the coming future. Coming to work from home versus work on site, I think you will understand that as a manufacturing enterprise, it was very important that we have people working on site. And we had dealt with the pandemic challenge very admirably by basically having very strict COVID protocols, zoning, and of course, sensitizing people and ensuring that we keep them safe. And because of that, we were able to have business continuity without significant disruption in our manufacturing. Having said that, of course, we did have some, disruptions in terms of availability of certain raw materials because of logistics. There were delays in terms of shipments. So I think in terms of all that, I think the worst is behind us. That is why I remain so confident of the future and coming quarters. I think in terms of psychologically counseling our people, I think the bigger challenge of this particular aspect of work from home is really in the IT sector and not in our sector, because we had a large presence of our people working on site. So I think the number of people who worked from home was far less compared to the IT sector, which had over 95% people working from home. Contrary to that, we had probably 40% of our people working from home. We have decided to continue with a hybrid model that basically optimizes this particular trend. But the policies that we are trying to come up with are still in the formation stage. Coming to other kinds of disruptions, obviously we are keeping a close watch on various aspects of global, macroeconomics, such as inflation, such as rupee devaluation, such as other currency devaluation, and of course logistics disruptions, as well as the inflationary trends that we are seeing in terms of freight and logistics. So all this is actually impacting input costs, raw material costs, and we are challenged with looking at all of this in a very pragmatic way. And we are also focusing on efficiencies and and improving efficiencies. We are looking at removing a lot of costs from the system. As you know, we've embarked on a very strong digitization and digital transformation initiative. So all this will help to combat some of these challenges. Coming to renewable energy, we continue to be very, very focused on harnessing as much renewable energy as possible, and we continue with those efforts. In terms of the impact of Ukraine and Russia, at this point in time, it is minimal because we don't have these as huge markets for us, for ourselves. But, obviously they have greater ramification in terms of other kinds of disruption, such as energy costs, etc. Coming to the 5 to 7 year projection on our businesses, I think I mentioned it during my the commentary I gave ahead of this question answer session, that all our businesses are at an inflection point, given that we have made substantial investment in both research and manufacturing capacity building. And both these augur very well because we really see a very strong growth trajectory going forward. So we look at the next 5 to 7 years with a lot of optimism and a lot of confidence that we have good, strong, robust growth thanks to all these investments we have made. As you know, our HR policies are very focused on gender diversity. And as I mentioned also in my commentary, that we would like to have a gender parity by 2030. In terms of our differentiation, you can clearly see that the Biocon Group is indeed a very differentiated company when it comes to its businesses. And that is why you're seeing that, we don't have such high competition like many of the other companies and our peers. In biosimilars, we clearly see that the competition is growing, but we are certainly not seeing very intense competition. When you look at our generics business, we are very focused on specialty generics, where again, the competition is lower. And when it comes to our research services business, we are in an extremely differentiated place. So all in all, I think, we have a very differentiated business model, which is what makes us very unique. And we are grateful to all of you shareholders for believing in that unique story. When it comes to health and global healthcare, as you know, we are all driven by this mission of providing affordable access to essential and life-saving medicines, because I, as an entrepreneur, have always believed and have been led by the business purpose that pharmaceuticals is a humanitarian business, and we have to make sure that every patient anywhere and everywhere in the world has access to these medicines that we make. So I hope that basically answers your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. We'll move to the next registered speaker. The next registered speaker is Mr. Dilip Kumar Jain from Jaipur. While he has joined, he has not done an audio test, so hence he is not able to hear us. We'll move to the next registered speaker. Mr. Vinay Vishnu Bide from Mumbai is not joined. The next speaker, Mr. Rajesh Kevalram Chainani from Mumbai, is also not joined at this moment. We will move to the next registered speaker. The next registered speaker is Pratibha Dubey, is also not joined at this moment. We'll move to the next speaker. Mr. Yusuf Yunus Rangwala from Mumbai is also not joined. The next registered speaker is Mr. Manoj Kumar Gupta from Kolkata. I would request the speaker, Mr. Manoj Kumar Gupta, to unmute your audio and switch on your camera and proceed. Thank you. Mr. Manoj. Mr. Manoj, request you to unmute your audio and proceed.
Hello?
Yes.
Good evening, respected madam.
Yes, good evening.
Chairperson, Board of Directors, fellow shareholders. My name is Manoj Kumar Gupta. I have joined this meeting from Calcutta, my residence. Just a minute, ma'am. Let me start my video. Yeah. Ma'am, first of all, I congratulate you to be the third richest lady of the country. And I pray to God that you should be the first richest lady of the country in near future. when the Forbes issue the next list in next year, so your name should be first richest lady of the country. Today in Calcutta, the list has come in the newspapers. The Roshni Nadar is the first lady, then Nair, and then your name is. And so that, and ma'am, now the share prices are going down. Why? You are doing a lot of work, and your innovations are doing a lot of work, and so why the share prices are going down? Your share price should be more than 2,000 in 4th digit.
Yeah.
And what's your future plan? And what's your future outlook for pharma business? Globally, pharma business. And today in the CSR policy, the government has allowed the corporate sector this year in the second quarter that they can expand a CSR for Har Ghar Tiranga for 13th August to 15th August to Amrit Mahotsav, Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. So what's your plan to Har Ghar Tiranga? So you should distribute Tiranga in Bangalore or near to your plant that people can host flag that flag has got from Biocon and chairperson of, under the leadership of Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw. And peoples of Calcutta are waiting for your visit to Calcutta. May I invite you to Calcutta, that please come to Calcutta and look how if you can start some business in this part also. And some diseases are growing fastly in the country, and India become the capital of cancer, liver, kidney, heart, diabetes. So is there any chance to innovate some some medicines in this regard to help pupils at a nominal cost they can get, like cancer patient, liver patient, and diabetic patient? And what's your view on single-use plastic? And how you face the inflation? Because every raw material price has gone up from 20% to 30%. And what is there any impact will come, direct or indirect, from Russia-Ukraine war? And may I again thanks to you, your team, for a good result. And we hope that you will visit to this city of joy when you get time and give us a chance to meet you. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Gupta, thank you for all your questions and your well wishes. I would start by saying that share price is very much about market expectations, street expectations. I think the street wants to see greater growth. I think the pandemic has certainly prevented a number of drug approvals for us, which obviously has prevented us from giving that kind of growth that the market expects. But I'm very confident that all our businesses are in a very strong position, well positioned for very strong, robust, and sustainable growth in the future. So please, rest assured that you will see a movement in the share price once all these inspections and approvals take place. So that is the time when I think you will see the share movement. Right now, I think the streets are a bit, concerned about the fact that all these inspections are not happening in the time that they want. But now that we've got some visibility, I think we will see some of these announcements come in the near future. As far as the future is concerned, I think you have heard me say repeatedly that we have a very, very optimistic view of the growth and opportunities that we have set for ourselves in all our businesses, and I'm very confident that our shareholders will be rewarded in a way that they need to be rewarded in the future. As far as the CSR is concerned, certainly we are very committed to Har Ghar Tiranga, and we will make sure that we distribute, the flags, the tirangas in our communities and as far as we can reach, because I, as a proud Indian, would like every home to be flying a tiranga. As far as single-use plastics are concerned, certainly, as I mentioned earlier, we are looking into this in a very serious manner. As far as inflation and other impact of as far as our inflation and other aspects of geopolitical challenges that we face, obviously every company and every economy is challenged with these issues, but we are making sure that we look at it in a very pragmatic, prudent way, so that we can be in a better state of preparedness for any of these disruptions. So with that, I thank you for your support and your good wishes. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. We will move to the 22nd registered speaker. The 22nd registered speaker is Mr. Satish Jayantilal Shah from Mumbai. Is not joined at this moment. We will move to the 23rd registered speaker, Mr. Kirti Shah from Mumbai. I would request Mr. Kirti Shah to unmute your audio and switch on your camera and proceed. Thank you.
Mr. Shah.
Since there is no response,
Madam, hello.
yes,
Hello.
yes, please proceed.
Madam, I already sent my email. Kindly reply on that email. Wish you all the best. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. With this, we have completed the Q&A session with the pre-registered speakers who are available during their turn. Now we are handing over the session back to you, Chairperson. Thank you.
Thank you. And with this, we conclude the Q&A session. I would like to thank all the members, directors, and other invitees for attending the 44th Annual General Meeting of our company. The meeting now stands concluded. Members may note that the e-voting will be available for the next 15 minutes on the KFin Technologies Limited website. I would request now all the directors, invitees, and others to kindly log out. Thank you very much and namaskar.